How to use Git, and when we say Git, what do we mean? We mean version control. But let's start from right here. This is what you should expect at the end of the day. On this series, you should understand version control, create a repository, commit, push and pull some code, collaborate on a simple project. That's what you should expect. Now, earlier on, codes were shared, or when programmers program, they shared their code, either copying it on a pen drive, copying it with a hard disk, or pushing it to a cloud platform like OneDrive, Dropbox, so that people could share. Others would email it to each other, one another, so that they could share the code. But this is not effective, right, guys? So, and people went on to build a system called Git. It's a system or software that allows you to manage the various versions of your product. So if you are building a software, you release a version 1, then you release version 2. How do you track the changes in between these versions? And this is what we call version control. There are other tools there such as Mercurial, Subversion, but the popular one is Git. And so we'll concentrate on learning Git in this class, right? So you can read about the differences here, but I'll take you quickly to how to install Git on your system. If you're on Windows, please quickly head out to this link over here and download it. Software. If you're on a Linux system or Ubuntu, you can download Git by doing this. If you're on Mac, use Homebrew, then you can just do brew install Git. But then how do you know that Git is installed after running all this is right? Head to your terminal, open your terminal. I'm not sure which machine you're on, but make sure you're on your terminal. Then do git -- version. Now this will show you the version of Git that is installed on your laptop, right? But then it doesn't matter the number here. All you want to say is that at least something Git version is spelled out on your terminal. So you type this and then you see that there's a version that is currently running your system is spelled out. Now when that happens, it should mean that you have Git installed on your machine. And then with that setup, then we can head on and discuss what's next. So I see you in the next one. Thank you. Very, very important is configuring your Git, right? So after installing your Git, you have to do what you call configuration. Now, configuration means that anytime you are going to do anything with Git, this is the credentials that Git will identify with, right? So anytime you are doing anything with Git, your username is going to be this, and then your email is going to be this. And this helps. So if you're making changes, the changes should be tracked against this name and against this email. It's good for identification. Also help your friends who are collaborating on the project to also identify you, right? Now remember, you can always change this, but at least you need to configure it for the very first time you are doing this. So what do you do? Let's just try that out. After doing this git config. So you do -- global. That means that throughout the entire laptop you see -- global. You do user .name, right? And then you specify the name you want to use, right? Let's say I want to do Bright, okay, as my global Git name, right? My global Git username. Then I enter that, right? Then the next thing, if I want to do also is -- email, right? Yeah, so that's going to be the email that Git is going to identify with, right? So I'll put in my email. Now you can always change this later, right? And so this tool will let Git know that, come on, you know what? This is the identity, or this is what I want to be known anytime I'm doing Git. So this helps you get to know you by this name and also know you by this email. Now you can always change this later, like when you feel like you have changed your name and all that, right? Now this necessarily doesn't have to be the same as your account on wherever your code is going to sit in the remote directory. So just do these configurations, right? You can get set up. See you in the next one. Your version here, right? So again, you type this and then you're able to see this, right? Now, primarily when you are using Git, what you want to do is to track the version of a particular software you're writing, right? Now, First of all, the project you want to track, it's either created by someone or it's created by yourself. Let's go to the scenario that you created your own project, right? So say I have a project, let me say the project is located right here. Let me look for, okay, the project is located right here. And then say here is the project, okay? There's a folder which is called Git Lessons, right? And this is the project I want to track. First of all, either I'm doing this in an ID integrated developer environment, or wherever I'm going to work on this project, I need to be in the directory or the location of this project before I can ask Git to track this for me. Important. You need to be in the directory where this project is located before you can add Git to track this for you. Remember, there are two ways. If you clone this project from somewhere, you got this project from somewhere, whatever happens, you need to be in the directory where this project is located for you to effectively do Git, right? So let's say this project is in my HTML directly. Now, let's say I come to my terminal, and then I locate that project, right? It's in document, okay? So I head to document. In document, there's where we call HTML project, right? Let me clear this on my screen again. So you see, and this is called Git Lessons, all right? Right. So here, this is where I want to start tracking the project, okay? So whatever the case be, make sure you are in this directory. You are located here before you do anything Git, all right? So once you are here, you can do what we call Git init, okay? And this is supposed to start Git in that directory. So you do Git init, and then you see this out on your screen. Now remember, this part is not important. What is important is that folder, and then it creates something called Git init, git.get, a hidden file in your system, right? But do this only if you are in that directory. You are located right here in that directory, and to tell you Git successfully initialized. Now, if you are using a software, let's say I'm using another software entirely. Say, let me do another thing. Say I have a new software. I'm running this software, and then I open a project. Say, so the project is located in the folder. So I look for the project in my document. So this is, instead of me going through the terminal, I'm trying to get the project from another source, right? So I go to HTML project. I also open the same folder here, right here, right? Then you see that if I look at my terminal on the ID I'm using, it's also in the same directory. So whatever happens, you should be in the same directory. And then I can do the same thing as well here. So you see, this has been reinitialized because I have initialized it already. Friends, you should initialize Git only once in the directory of that project. So either you are using an ID or you are doing it through the terminal. What is important is that you should be in the right directory before initializing this project at all costs. Remember always that you're in the right directory. If not, you are tracking all the files on your laptop, or you are tracking all the files in the directory, which you ideally do not want to track. See you in the next one. So we've so far discussed how you initialize your Git. Let's say you have initialized your Git now in your project directory. Remember, in the directory where you are doing the project now. So, and then now you create, let's say, your first file. So let's say this is my file. Alright, let me just save this file and call it index.html. Remember, any file at all, I'm just calling it index.html, which means it's an HTML file. So feel free to name it however you want to name it. Let's say I created this file, right? Now, because I have initialized Git, does not mean that Git will automatically start tracking the change for you, right? Now, to know and track changes, there is something you need to do, very important. Please pay attention here. So you'll have to add this file to a staging area. Let me show you an interesting picture right here, right? So here is how Git works primarily, right? You are currently in what we call your working directory. So where you are doing the project is your working directory. Now, for Git to be able to track the project, you need to move that particular file or document to what you call the staging area. So this is like the playground for Git. So the file needs to be moved to a temporary, supposed to say staging area, where Git can keep an eye on what is happening. So Git doesn't keep an eye on your working directory necessarily, but then it does that on the staging area, right? So you put the file to a staging area. We'll come back to what you call the repository later. But remember to move the file from the working directory, not to move per se, but to put the file on an area where Git can start tracking is what you call the staging area. You do what you call Git add. So let's go back. So the file here has been added. You need to move it to now Git add. You can specify the name of the file to be added to the staging area, which is this HTML file, then hit enter. Now this automatically moves the file from the working area here right to the staging area. Now you can either do Git add that, or you do Git add and a dot. A few more attributes, or you can use after the add command, right, to just give some more context. But primarily it's Git add. If you do Git add dot, it means that you want to add everything in this project directory, in the Git lessons directory, right? But you can mention the name of the file. But if you have so many files, you can just do say Git add, and it's going to move it from your working directory to the staging area. And I hope now you understand what Git add. So anytime you do any change in a file, let's say for instance, I do this, just suppose I'm adding a document. Let's say I do this and then I do this, right? If I make these changes and I save them, what do I need to do? These changes are not automatically known. I need to do Git add. Let's say dot, that's I just want to add everything, and then I move that particular thing. It means that now on my staging area, all this information now will be moved to the staging area. I hope that makes sense. And then so anytime you do any appreciable change that you need Git to put on the staging area, you need to do Git add, name of the file or dot or any other thing, just to make sure that Git is keeping a tab of whatever you're doing. I hope this makes sense on the Git add command. Thank you.